My name is Piotr Domurad. I'm involved in building and managing sales forces for life insurance industry in Canada, Poland, Russia, and Ukraine for the last 30 years. And I would like to share with you my experience. Specifically, I will be talking about how I built a national sales force for Swiss company Winterthur. It was some years ago. I will mention details later, but I think you would find valuable that can be applied to your situation. Okay, I will try to mute you on the right now, so we will. Okay, so you are muted, and when there will be time for Q&A. Okay, webinar's plan. We start with short introduction. Probably I already finished it. Next, my presentation will take approximately 20-25 minutes, and there will be time for Q&A, and then we'll see how we can create a value for you. So the content will be concise description of preparations, tools, campaigns, and strategies, building Salesforce and its culture for Winterthur Life Poland. As a result, without the help of headhunters, I was able to recruit 350 managers from the market, and they recruited 1,500 agents. Originally, I coined name at the time 5 years in 5 months, but the nature has its rule. I was able to do it in 9 months. So there is a power of numbers to this. As a result, within 4 years, we were able to sell more than 150,000 pension contracts and more than 145,000 individual life policies. Basically, we jumped from the 23rd position in Poland within a year to 5th position. Okay, a little bit about myself. I'm an international business consultant, as I mentioned, specializing in setting up and managing thriving national direct sales forces for financial industries, not only here, but mainly. Source of acumen. I worked as insurance agent in Canada for Mutual of Omaha in Toronto. Then I moved back to Poland. Worked for Commercial Union as a training manager. Commercial Union had a legendary result at that time, gaining within 5 years 50% of the individual life insurance policies market. Then I became sales director for Winterthur Life Poland, and the jump I mentioned. Then we moved to Russia as consultants and regional directors. We work with Rosgostrach, which is a quasi-national insurance company. At the time, it was the biggest. Within 2 years, we basically from scratch built a Salesforce and culture system for life operations. They had non-life operations before. And since then, I'm developing online hybrid sales systems using the new technologies and old-fashioned acumen. Okay, that's it. Let's focus on this project 5 years in 5 months. I will be talking about organizing principles, current market paradigm, current at the time and current right now. What kind of tools I need to describe it and take advantage of it. And then I will give some examples of project steps, tools, and execution, how it was made. Organizing principles. The key concept for someone who is interested in building national sales force is a decision where will be where will be the center of power and influence. what I'm talking about. In classical structure, where you have agents, unit managers, branch managers, regional managers, and the sales manager, sales director, I have few examples with different consequences where the company's power of influence was based, for example, in one company I worked with on branch managers. So for sales director, it was sometimes difficult to steer the company because of the influence gathered by branch managers. In another company from Polish market, the center of influence was on the level of regional manager, and this regional manager basically cut off the branch portion of the company, 1/3 of the company, and moved to another company. So it has its consequences. So at the beginning of the project, when I was invited to Winterthur, Winterthur at the time was 23rd, which means the last position on the market. And watching the market, I decided that for the benefit of the company and myself, it will be better if the center of power of influence will lie in my hands. I had this privilege and opportunity to set the rules, and the idea is the person who set the rules controls the game. So it is not only of convenience, but also for the success of the project. Another organizing principle I incorporated was EQ, which means we will act ethically, elegantly, and efficiently. In practice, at the time, there were a few new companies on the market. Some of these companies basically took huge portion of Salesforce from another company, which was not so ethical. My approach was to build it from the market, without targeting any specific company. I targeted markets of people who are in very precise situation, and called them through advertising. I will be talking about this in a moment. So ethically, elegantly, and efficiently. That's the principles for our operations, and we check any project whether it fulfills those three requirements. Observing the relationship within the structure, I had the privilege to set up the rules, as I mentioned, and I come up with the rules I called rules or principles of structural integrity. There are three elements: subordination, chain of command, and 48 hours. Subordination, in one sentence, means if subordinate has a problem with the superior, it's subordinate's problem. Basically, chain of command means if someone is going out of chain of command, we treat it as a willingness to leave the company or the structure. With this, we have no problem. And 48 hours, it was like when two people at the same level in the company had conflict, they were received 48 hours to resolve conflict. If not, we will find two new people without conflict. It sounds cruel, but it worked like magic. I had two regional directors who came to me with some arguments, asked me for a judgment. I said, well, you know the rules. Opened my drawer, took my ready to use. I said, okay, you guys know the rules. Well, it took them 5 minutes. They came back and said, well, we find a solution. There's no problem. Okay, fine, fine. So it is obviously at the time it was. Right now it seems to more clear, but for certain reason which I will be explaining, it must be done. There were also rules of debrief meeting. And what I mean, there was like 11 rules. I would give you example of 3. For example, if we concentrate 10% on the problem and 90% on the solution. That's one. Another would be if someone has an excellent idea, he automatically becomes the project manager for the idea. And if there are results required, this is fantastic idea. So basically, those rules constrain the ego trips during the meetings to take account of the words, and it was very important to do this because we could focus on what's important. And I come up with Salesforce culture. So I prepared the calendar of significant events. It was 3 big events annually. It was Sales Congress, it was cruise, not a big cruise, but it was a cruise with 30 sailboats on my hometown lake. And and also in winter we had this ball with very, let's say, Venice style ball with a mask and stuff. So people basically knew the events, that there are fixed events. Plus there were also events for the monthly meetings. And it sounds so obvious, every company does it. No, I'm talking about from the beginning, by designing the structure, this every year as a tradition, and I've managed to implement it for 4 years, and those events were very important for the company spirit. As a part of the culture also was the system of career with defined artifacts, so like the pins, structure, silver, gold, platinum, and with all privileges. Obviously, I've created the lingo for language for internal communication with different. So it was basically, if someone outside would not get the idea what was what we are talking about. In some cases, it wasn't like new language, but few ideas and rituals. So, for example, initiation for a new agent after passing the exam. So there was like full culture with all the elements which are needed for the people to identify, to thrive in the environment. One of the tools I used approaching the task of building the Salesforce, and the idea was that it was I had 8 months to build the Salesforce before the opening of pension reform in Poland. So within this time, we had to come up with a professional Salesforce. And there is one tool I developed. I call it universal decision trigonometry. It's very simple. It has only 3 elements, and which is what there are always 3 dominant factors in each issue. There is a clear hierarchy of dominant factors, and there is a strong implication of hierarchy of dominant factors. For example, generally speaking, in your position, in your business, in your corporation, there are 3 dominant factors. There is business, there is politics, and there is bureaucracy. And those 3 factors, in time, the configuration changes and the situation changes. Obviously, for the company to succeed long term, it is great when the business is on the top. But as we know, sometimes politics get in the way, or bureaucracy in this or another way. But that's the situation. And the thing is, I'm talking about of the event from the past, but the idea is you can use this tool to assess the market situation right now. Using this trigonometry from the business point of view, as a new project creating Salesforce, there were three issues as in every company. There was time, money, people, and people. We have limited time, we have unlimited money, and we should have access to competent people. So this combination of those three factors gives you not three, but 6 scenarios. Simply put it goes like this. So there are priorities: people, money, people, time, and so on. But in my case, it was time sensitive. So there was huge pressure on time. The second was I had to come up with recruit and train competent people. And money, there was no pressure for money. We had access. So basically, my strategies were based on this configuration. So it is important how you would say right now, nowadays, in your business, which scenario applies to your business right now. If you can put it on chat, which scenario, 1, 2, or 3, or whatever. So what would be the solution? Hello, Madrid. Okay. So depends from the company, depends from the market, depends from the company phases. We can assess these priorities, which gives us a hint for the constructing strategies. And right now, situation in Poland is different. I would use different strategies, different tools. But let's go to this 5 years in 5 months example. As example, recruiting campaign. Recruiting campaign, as a first step, was to define manager's avatar. So my strategy was to recruit managers from the market, and they will recruit agents. But I went even further. I recruited existing managers, unit managers, and I used specific tools. First, to define this avatar, I used Tony Robbins' Bandwidth formula. Bandwidth stands for beliefs, evaluation, needs, desire, wants, interest, mentor, proud. So there are certain information you can extract which have main influence on decision of the person. So I knew I wanted experienced unit managers, and I wanted them with additional qualities. So using this formula, I was able to define profile of manager and its current situation. Why it's necessary? It was necessary for second step, which was pheromonal recruiting. Pheromonal recruiting is coming up with ads that basically do auto selection. So this technology I used, I learned from Jay Abraham, one of the Tony's associates, and basically the idea here was that, for example, I knew that as I mentioned here in Bandwidth, wound, W stands for wound. One of the wounds of those managers, those unit managers, was, for example, that they were promised to become branch manager if they do X, Y, Z. And the thing is, there is a limited number of branch managers. Even if someone is qualifying, it's sometimes difficult to get this position. But myself, before this project, I was the sales director for one of the branch managers, branch of the commercial union in Poznań. So I knew the market realities. So this pheromonal recruiting, it was in the structure like the title was, if you were promised to become branch manager, but for any reason it was not fulfilled. Maybe I have a proposal for you. And so there was a title like this. So as I mentioned, it was auto selection. So only people who are in this position with such a situation. And then I stated the formula and said, if an additional requirement. So for example, for branch manager, if you have at least 50 or 100 individual clients. So I knew there are results. I knew they are in the craft. So they know the realities. And as a result of this, I was able to, without leaving the office, I was able to recruit 350 managers within 6 months. 360 managers who responded to my ads, and they sometimes even they told me that when they saw this ad, it is for me, it is about me. They felt understood and drawn to this ad. So basically, I saved a lot of money for the company on headhunters, which I think it's rather for the middle position like this, like branch manager, probably it's not the best way to hire, but it changes obviously. So having these people at my desk, I move to next section, is personal interview with the candidate. So all of these 350 managers, I interviewed them in person. And as I mentioned, I was aiming for unit managers, but the unit managers came with the people with their agents. So their agents will become new unit managers. So the unit manager will be promoted to the level of branch manager. Her people become unit managers. So this way I got dedicated people who were able to recruit 1,500 people within, as I said, 9 months. So this personal interview, I used empty page presentation. Empty page presentation, I sat in front of the person and I started with empty page and done presentation about what we are about to, what are aims, what are the key understandings, and most important, what are the rules of the game. So all those quote unquote harsh rules were presented by me on the beginning as something natural. And it's okay, that's okay, makes sense, that's acceptable. So having them at my desk and focusing on them for 1 hour, and the funny thing is, I never seen at the time any CV of those people. 300 people without CV. For me, also why? Because the main, as you remember from the main category was time. So we had no time at this time. For me, if someone sold 50 or 100 policies, it was the question is whether some people abuse this? Maybe so, but doesn't matter because at the time some people abuse, but they catch up and they achieve a certain level of efficiency. Some good people didn't. So the priority was time. And then I presented them with irresistible contract offer because we don't have costs of recruiting by headhunting company. We are able to propose the runway system. Runway system was very stable for branch manager. It was 12 months stability, financial stability, where during this time he could catch up with his override commission. And for unit managers, it was 9 months and 3 months for the agents. And in this runway system, the whole concept was with the whole constellation of meanings. So it's like if it's runway, so you're like a pilot, so there is no hesitation when you at the pilot seat and you have one chance to fly, get airborne. And we supported, we induced this determination and helped people. And plus, because I've constructed this structure of significant emotional events for the company. So there was lots of fun during the process. So we had monthly meetings with branch managers in every castle in Poland, all over. For 4 years, people were dragged by the means of dragging them from place to place all over the Poland. And so basically it was outgoing, it was fun, and people enjoyed and growth, and they made their careers, they made good money, and we are able to sell, as I said, jump from the 23rd position to the 5th position within a year, forcing company Allianz to buy small company at the time to catch up with the results. So obviously there's limited time, so I will not elaborate on all the project steps, tools, and execution, what would be done. The main message is that it can be done for there is one example with the unified self-presentation. What does it mean? I've created based on this decisive trigonometry presentation navigator. Navigator was basically presentation where agent asked potential client what is most important for him. For example, safety of the kids, his pension, or his income protection, and so on. But also it was unified set presentation, which I drilled in agents and also in managers. So all managers, all the levels, must be able to present it, and they were asked to do presentation every time. So this sales skill drills as a part of the culture they expected that I would ask them to do presentation every time, so to keep up with this edge of craft. Another example, it was at the time it was a project where we had a mascot. It was Bernardine dog, and we had the mascots like full size, so it's like 1.10 m mascot of Bernardine dog. And at the time we were able to make a picture of the with parents with kids, and then deliver them pictures. So it was some time ago, so there was no internet like there are lots of opportunities, but at the time it was it was value. So basically, we've managed to use this strategy to first animate sales activities of the agents and create a rhythm of work for whole structure and effective at this time. Obviously, time changed, and right now we have this. We are forced to work on distance, which is good, bad, or indifferent. It depends from your point of view. And as you know, internet marketing is booming. So there is huge portion of the business made by internet or online. And right now, the right combination of this classical acumen and technology can boost your sales results. So you can improve your, depends where you are with your company business. You can improve it through technology, and I have experience with this in UK. I set up the system for a company to sell life insurance. We use telephone. We use telephone because people were not so eager to jump on Zoom for some reasons. But right now, it seems to be something natural to make appointment online and get this process. The idea is, for example, for agent, it was successful if he had, for example, 1 or 2 appointments per day. But right now with this technology, he can have easy 4 appointments daily without traffic, without hassle. And this can be very effective, very pleasant, both for agent and for the client. And especially like in UK, you can sell policies through the telephone or through Zoom or even Messenger. Zoom is better because you can make presentation, and so you can make a whole presentation online with the client. So basically, the idea is, despite this, that time changed. We have different times. We have totally new reality. But my idea is that reality is like a Rubik's cube. It looks different, but the essence is the same. So when you get the structure, when you get the mechanics, and you understand that some things never changed, some things changed, like span of attention. So that's why we must keep it short, not too prolonged. So the basic idea, there are ways to use technology, use this acumen company gathered to boost sales, and usually it's for a fraction of classical costs. Okay,